Hello everyone, I am Ananya. This is my study channel Learnify, where learning becomes simplified. So today I am going to teach you some important facts about the Vedic civilization that will be extremely useful in various government exams. So please do like, share my video and subscribe my channel to see more such related content. So let's start with the Vedic civilization. The age of Vedic civilization was between 1500 BC and 600 BC. So this you should remember that the Vedic civilization was between 1500 to 600 BC. Now let's talk about how this age got its name. So this age got its name from the Vedas that give information about this era. So that is why this age, because the Vedas, the Vedic literature give us information about the Vedic period. That is why we call this era as the Vedic age or Vedic period. Now, which people used to live here? The Aryans used to live in this age. The Aryans were in the group of semi-nomadic pastoral people. So this line is very important, that Aryans were semi-nomadic pastoral people. Next comes that the Sanskrit word Arya means noble, like they were noble people. Fine. Next, let's come here, that Max Muller proposed the Central Asia theory. So Max Muller said that the origin of the Aryans were from Central Asia near the Caspian Sea, while others believe that they originated in Russian steppes. Steppes are the Russian grasslands. So some other, discoverers say that they are from Russian steppes, but Max Muller said that they are from Central Asia. But Bal Gangadhar Tilak was of the opinion that Aryans came from Arctic regions, showing their astronomical calculations. But Bal Gangadhar Tilak said that they are from Arctic region. Sanskrit was their language for communication. They used to communicate with each other in Sanskrit. They entered India through Naiba Pass. So this is very important, that through which place they entered India. They entered India through Naiba Pass. Next comes, we are going to learn something about the Vedic civilization. Originally means when they, बल्कि जब सबसे पहले वो इंडिया में आए थे, सबसे पहले आर्यंस जब आए थे इंडिया में, they dwelt in the Sapt Sindhu area. Sapt Sindhu means land of 7 rivers. Now you have to remember the names of these rivers, that which 7 rivers were there. So I have a trick, that 5 rivers are the 5 rivers of Punjab plus 2 more rivers, Indus and Saraswati. So these rivers were Indus, Beas, Jhelum, Ravi, Chenab, Satluj and Saraswati. Now these Sanskrit names you should not remember. I think it's not very important. You should just remember the English names of these 7 rivers. They are Indus, Beas, Jhelum, Ravi, Chenab, Satluj and Saraswati. Now the timeline of Vedic period is divided into 2 parts: early Vedic civilization and later Vedic civilization. Later Vedic civilization is also called painted grey ware phase. Fine. And early Vedic civilization is also called Rig Vedic phase. So the years are not so important. You just remember that there were 2 phases of Vedic civilization: early Vedic and later Vedic. Now let's talk about early Vedic civilization. So political structure. The administration is monarchical with a king known as Rajan. Monarchical means जहाँ पे राजा महाराजा राजकुमार ये सब होते थे, तो उसको हम monarchical administration कहते हैं. ठीक है. Administration is monarchical and the king was known as Rajan. Patriarchal families. Jana was the largest social unit in Rigvedic times. Next is social grouping. There was, a Kul family was called Kul, then Gram, Visu and Jana. Like family, a small family was called Kul, and then I think the community was called Gram, and group of communities was called Visu, and then a Jana was there, a largest social unit. Then Sabha and Samiti were the tribal assemblies. Assembly like today we have parliament, so this kind of assemblies where people used to gather together and discuss the important matters. Tribal kingdoms were the Bharatas, Matsyas, Yadus and Purus. So they were the tribal kingdoms: Bharatas, Matsyas, Yadus and Purus. Next one, social structure. What kind of social life the people of Rigvedic civilization had? So the women had an honorable status. The women were respected. Cattle were very important, like the cattle were also worshipped. They were viewed as, goddess, like we say Gau Mata nowadays. So this practice came from the Rig Vedic period. Monogamy was practiced, but polygamy was observed among royalty and noble family. Monogamy means मैरिंग टू ओनली वन पर्सन, मतलब एक ही इंसान के साथ शादी करना प्रैक्टिस किया जाता था. पर कुछ कुछ रॉयल फैमिलीज़ में पॉलीगैमी भी ऑब्जर्व की गई थी, लाइक दे हैड मोर देन वन वाइफ और द वाइफ हैड मोर देन वन हस्बैंड. ओके, देयर वॉज नो चाइल्ड मैरिज वॉज देयर. इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रक्चर मीन्स कि वो काम कैसे करते थे, वो पैसा कैसे कमाते थे. दे वर पेस्टोरलिस्ट्स एंड कैटल रेजर्स. दे वर्कड इन एग्रीकल्चर. दे हैड हॉर्स ड्रॉन चैरियट्स. Rivers were the mode of transportation. They spun cotton and woolen clothes. Initially, trade was handled by barter, but eventually coins known as nishka were used. So, nishka, this is very important. ठीक है, पहले तो हमने यही पढ़ा कि वो पेस्टोरलिस्ट थे, कैटल करते थे, लाइक जो नॉर्मल गांव वगैरह के लोग आज भी करते हैं. लाइक दे वर पेस्टोरलिस्ट, एग्रीकल्चर करते थे, हॉर्स ड्रॉ करके चैरियट्स होते थे. ठीक है, सो मोड ऑफ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन वॉज रिवर्स एंड दे स्पन कॉटन एंड वुलन क्लोथ्स. So we can know from here that only cotton and woolen fiber was used to make the clothes. But initially the trade was handled by barter system. Like I told you before also that barter system means exchange of goods. Okay. But then coins known as nishka were also introduced. Next comes religion. They worship natural forces. Like they worship nature. Fine. There was no idol worship and all. Indra, the god of thunder, was the most important deity. This is very important. And female goddesses were Ushas and Aditi were the female goddesses. Fine. So next comes later Vedic civilization. So I hope that early Vedic civilization must be clear to you. If you have any doubts, you can freely ask me in the comment section. I will answer all your doubts. And please do like, share the video and subscribe my channel if you find the content useful. Thank you. Now comes later Vedic civilization. Political structure. Larger kingdoms were referred to as Mahajanapadas or Rashtras. Like big kingdoms, the kingdom that had a large area, that was known as Mahajanapadas or Rashtras. King was required to execute many rituals and sacrifices to strengthen his status. अब जैसे किसी राजा को अगर अपना स्टेटस बढ़ाना था, अगर उसको बड़ा किंग बनना चाहता था, अपनी पावर बढ़ाना चाहता था, तो उसको बहुत सारे रिचुअल्स और सेक्रीफाइसेस करने पड़ते थे. ओके, तो उस राजा को बहुत सारे रिचुअल्स और सेक्रीफाइसेस करने पड़ते थे. वो कौन कौन से होते थे? लाइक राजसूया यज्ञ. कॉन्सिक्रेशन मीन्स ही हैज़ टू टाई अ थ्रेड ऑन हिज रिस्ट. अश्वमेधा यज्ञ एंड वाजपेयी. दिस राजसूय यज्ञ इज ये तब होती है जब छोटे छोटे बच्चे होते हैं, उनको गुरुकुल भेजा जाता है, तो उस टाइम पे उनके हैंड में एक थ्रेड टाई करते हैं, उसको कहते हैं राजसूय यज्ञ. देन अश्वमेधा यज्ञ. इसमें क्या होता है, एक राजा अपना एक हॉर्स को लाइक वो रिलीज़ करता है, और वो जो हॉर्स जिन जिन किंगडम्स में से भाग के जाता है, वो सारे किंगडम्स उस राजा के कंट्रोल के अंदर आ जाते हैं. लेकिन अगर कोई किंगडम उस हॉर्स को रोकने की कोशिश करे, किसी किंगडम का किंग या उनके कोई भी मतलब आर्मी में से, तो क्या होता है, उस किंगडम को वो दूसरे जिस राजा ने छोड़ा होता है हॉर्स, उसके साथ लड़ाई करनी पड़ती है. ओके, लाइक देयर इज़ अ वॉर फॉर kingdoms. Fine. So now and then Vajpayee Yajna, chariot race. Fine. Then the big rulers was called Samrat. Samiti and Sabha were reduced in size. Like before we have read in early Vedic that Samiti and Sabha were the assemblies. So now they are they are reduced in size and they have lost their importance. Next comes the social structure. Varna system was introduced for the first time. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Brahmins were the dominant caste, priests and all. Then Kshatriyas who used to do war and use weapons and all, like these rulers we have. Then come Vaishyas. Vaishyas were the merchants who used to trade, and then Shudras were the slaves of all these. Occupation was used to separate several subcastes. Women were viewed as inferior. Like in early Vedic, we have seen that women had an honorable status. They had place in Sabha and Samiti as well. Child marriage was not there. Monogamy was, most importantly practiced. So here what happened? Women, they lost their status. Basically, they were not honored and were viewed as inferior. Child marriage also started. Next comes economic structure. Land treated for cultivation by clearing forest. Like now the people used to clear forest for agriculture. Agriculture became the main occupation of people. internal trade and external trade expanded as well. So now by the later Vedic civilization was flourished, the internal as well as external trade was also expanded. Hereditary merchants were a distinct class. Now some merchants were hereditary, like their father was also merchant, grandfather were also merchant, so the son also becomes merchant. These are called hereditary merchants, Vanya. Vaishyas formed guilds known as Ganas. So the group of Vaishyas is called Ganas basically. Gold coins are called Satmana and silver coins Krishnala were used as mediums of interchange. As we have read, in early Vedic civilization only one coin was there, that was Nishka. But in later Vedic, two kinds of coins, gold coins known as Satmana and silver coins known as Krishnala. They were used as mediums of exchange. Now comes religion. Now before, like we have read that Indra god was the most important deity and two female goddesses were there, Usha and Aditi. Now Indra and Agni lost their importance. People no longer used to worship Indra and Agni. Instead they worshipped Prajapati, Vishnu and Rudra became the main gods. Prajapati, Vishnu and Rudra. Next is Buddhism and Jainism were raised as a forceful protest against the clergy. Clergy basically होता है जो priesthood, like priest used to dominate the people. They used to take lot of money, lot of other gifts and other kind of sacrifices. So Buddhism and Jainism were raised because Buddhism and Jainism was against all this illegal rituals and practices like these all things, sacrifices and all. So they were raised as a forceful protest against the clergy. Rig Veda was composed during. Now we are going to read about the Vedic literature. Now the important Vedic literature, the 4 Vedas that give us information about the early as well as later Vedic period. So let's read that Rig Veda was composed during the early Vedic age. So during the early Vedic age, only one Veda was written. It was Rig Veda, and the other 3 were written in later Vedic age. So this is very important, that in early Vedic age only Rig Veda was written, and in the later Vedic age all the other 3 Vedas were written. Number 1 is Rig Veda. This is the earliest religious text in the world. This is very important. Name the earliest religious text in the world. Rig Veda. This has 1028 hymns and is classified into 10 mandalas. Mandalas, kind of chapters are there. So it has 1028 hymns and is classified into 10 mandalas. Second is Yajur Veda. It describes the regulations to be followed during sacrifices. So basically Yajur Veda gives us important instructions that how to perform a sacrifice to gain whatever you want and these kind of things. Third is Sam Veda. It deals with music and has a collection of songs. Indian music originated from Sam Veda. This is very important line, that Indian music originated from Sam Veda. So the Veda that is concerned with music, it is Sam Veda. Last is Atharva Veda. It contains spells, charms and magical formulas. Basically superstitious practices and those other kind of mysteries and spell charms are there in Atharva Veda. Like we say black magic, so that has also originated from Atharva Veda only. Fine. So these 4 Vedas are very important. You should know these, these 1-2 things about them, and you should remember it precisely. Next comes Upveda. Upveda are 4 there are 4 Upvedas. Upvedas are that give us information about, that give us some detail or some explanation of the Vedas, you can say. Fine. So there are 4 Upvedas. Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Ayurveda and Arthashastra are the 4 Upvedas. Dhanurveda, Gandharva Veda, Ayurveda and Arthashastra. So number 1 is Dhanurveda. As you can understand from the word Dhanur, it means science of warfare and is associated with Yajurveda. Basically this is the you can say this is the elaborate version of Yajurveda. It explains the Yajurveda like we use as a guide. You can say it is like a guide to Yajurveda. So it tells us about the science of warfare, that how to fight a war. Next is Gandharva Veda. It is concerned with different areas of aesthetics including art forms. So this Gandharva Veda is concerned with different art forms. Okay, art and craft like music, dance, poetry, paintings and all these things. It is linked to Sam Veda. So like Dhanur Veda was the guide or the elaborate version of Yajurveda. So Gandharva Veda is linked to Samveda. These are very important things. You should know which Upveda is linked to which Veda. So it is very important to learn. Next comes Ayurveda. It is the science of health and life. It is associated with Atharva Veda. Fine. Next is Arthashastra. As you can clearly understand from the word Arthashastra, it means administration in English, public administration. It is related to Atharva Veda. Next is Sthapatya Veda. It deals with engineering and architecture. It is also associated with Yajurveda. So Dhanurveda is associated with Yajurveda, Gandharva Veda is associated with Samveda, and Ayurveda, Arthashastra and Arthashastra, they are related to Atharva Veda, and Sthapatya Veda is related to Yajurveda. Now beside these Vedas, other Vedic texts are also there. They are also like they also give explanation about Vedas only. Number 1 is Brahmanas. They give an explanation of sacrifices. Fine. Next is Upanishads. Now Upanishads are also called Vedantas, and there are 108 Upanishads total. They deal with it is the source of Indian philosophy. They are source of Indian. They deal with the soul, mysteries of nature, Atma and Paramatma. So Upanishads, they deal with this Atma, Paramatma, mystery, soul, that after death where does the soul go, from where do we get our soul. So all these philosophies are there. Then comes Aryanakas. It is a book of instruction on mysticism, ceremonies and rituals. Next we are going to read about the two epics of the Vedic age. Those two epics were the Mahabharata and Ramayana. Mahabharata was written by Rishi Vedvyas and Mahabharata was written by Rishi Valmiki. So this you should remember. So I hope that you found this video very useful and you just understood all the important facts related to the Vedic civilization. So this video was very short also, so I think you can revise all the important terms and the questions that can come in various government exams from this video in a very short span of time, about 20 minutes only. So अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छी लगी हो और आपको मेरे पढ़ाने का तरीका अच्छा लगा हो, then please do like, share and comment that whatever thing you found useful. अगर आपको कोई इसमें आपको लगता है मुझे कुछ इम्प्रूव करने की ज़रूरत है, तो तब भी आप मुझे कमेंट करके बता सकते हो. So thank you so much for watching my video.